Morning, Mike.
Morning, Jake. Happy spring.
Happy spring indeed. It is getting warmer and
Well,
I
well,
was
it
sunny.
was.
It was. Now it's not like 30 degrees though. Like
I
it's
know, but it's that head fake that we get every start of spring. When it's hey, everything's great. Let's start planting stuff, and then
yeah,
it
like
gets
spring.
dark and rainy.
Yeah, yeah. Well, the rain it's not raining right now, so it's okay.
No,
It's
no,
okay.
it is
It's all right.
dark. It is dark.
Hey, and guess what tomorrow is?
Tomorrow would be Friday.
Ooh, and we are doing security awareness training tomorrow. So
Oh,
if
right.
you have, yeah, uh-huh.
Okay, forgot
So,
about that.
we do free security awareness training. I can give
hmm
people the whole backstory. It's pretty cool. We in the pandemic, you might remember that thing. We had folks who said, "Hey, we need some help. We haven't gotten our annual stuff done because remember we sent everybody home, and there was this big thing that happened, and so we started doing free security awareness training, and it's tomorrow. We still do it. We've had thousands of people go through free security awareness training. So send your employees, send yourself.
You know what we should
It's
do
very
too?
entertaining. What?
The little guide that we wrote up for home security controls,
Oh yeah,
because so many people are working from home. We should
yeah.
make that available during security awareness training in case anybody
That's
wants that.
that's a good idea. That's a good idea. That's a good
I,
idea.
I occasionally have good ideas.
Yeah, it's your first one this week. It's good. And today you're going to Port Angeles.
I am. Yep, going up to see the Port of Port Angeles. Would like to stop in and see the folks at the city too, but haven't heard from them yet. They're probably busy. But that drive is one of my favorite drives. Going
It's
up to PA.
beautiful.
It's a long
Uh,
drive, but I enjoy it.
and in the last week, you did a podcast with one of our partners, Stellar
Mhm.
Cyber. What'd you talk about?
Mostly, we talked about, in the health sector, when records are stolen
Mm.
and patients are being contacted directly. That's where it started, but we went all over the place. It was largely about health sector,
Wait, you went off topic? You?
not off topic, just meandered around the topic.
Mm. Okay. Mm.
Okay.
Hey, so Mike, I want to start today with I don't it's not really cybersecurity, but it's privacy and it's sort of a PSA for folks.
hmm
Glassdoor.
hmm
What has Glassdoor done?
So, so this is interesting, and it really the story. If you read the story, it's about one person's experience and how she found out this was going on, and her efforts to get them to basically destroy all of her data.
Hmm.
So Glassdoor, I can't remember the name of the company that they bought, but it was basically a social media company.
Yep.
And what they did was they combined that with Glassdoor, and the policy of the company said that they would integrate all the data so that they had everything about everybody. And what they did was start exposing people's real names. And you can opt out of this, but Glassdoor is not effective if it's not anonymous. And I know that employers have, take real issue with this.
Right. And by the way, like all of a sudden I'm seeing all sorts of people taking their information off Glassdoor, deleting
Mhm.
their accounts. There's a
Yep.
way on Glassdoor's website you can have Glassdoor delete all of your data. I assume they have that because they fall under GDPR because they do things in Europe.
Mhm.
But as an American, you can still have them delete all of your data. Yeah, there's been quite a hubbub around this, and one of the people who I follow on LinkedIn actually said that their name showed up on an old review of a
Mhm.
company that they and that the company they found out because the company sent them a note and said, "Hey, this violates your either your separation agreement or the terms of employment when you signed up." And yeah, that's not great. That's not great. So this is your PSA. To be clear, Glassdoor has not responded yet that I've seen.
Mhm.
Glassdoor hasn't confirmed the change. Glassdoor hasn't responded. What's out there is a bunch of people who are guessing at how this happened or why this happened, and not a lot of response. So we'll see if that comes here in a little bit. Okay, next topic: Change Healthcare. We've been talking about it for weeks and weeks. It's still
Mhm.
going on, and I just heard there's a big update coming from United Health tomorrow. for hospitals. But what's the latest there?
Well, that update coming up is probably about their efforts to get hospitals, clinics, physicians paid. But I think the bigger news is um, so the drama that's gone on and the exit scam and right the Alf V going, oh, Department of Justice shut us down. Department of Justice said no, we didn't, but they drained the wallet of $22 million. So the affiliate that actually did the deed
Hmm.
still claims to be holding all of these records. So there's another shoe that's going to drop in this little drama right here.
Yeah.
And what that's going to do, and now it's really going to ramp up class action suits. And I read that there was already 6 class action suits against Change Healthcare. So that's before the unauthorized disclosure of these records, which
Yep.
is likely going to happen. The other thing we talked about last week, there apparently were Chinese fingerprints on this act.
Yeah.
And so one of the people that was in the affiliate group was identified as a Chinese national who was affiliated with state acts. So if that is true, then this affiliate gang might not disclose all these records because China's not in it for the money. They're in it
Right.
for the
They're in it for
disruption.
the information. Yeah.
Well, and they want the information. And there are more stories this morning about AI being used to go through all this information that's been stolen to be able to use in election
Are
disinformation,
you
things
wait?
like
Are
that.
you saying AI can be used for bad things, Mike?
Nefarious purposes,
It
yes.
can.
We talked about this a long time ago, right? China has so
Hmm.
much computing power and they've got all this data they're sitting on. If they expose that to AI, they can find out things like, well, if we want this person as an asset to have influence in this federal agency, what's the who are the 3 people we have to bribe to get there, right? So I don't know.
And
It's
hopefully Chat GPT will give them the wrong answer, like it has given me multiple times.
and me, yeah. Yeah, that's what we talked about last week. That Google's AI goes, oh, I can't answer election questions
So
anymore.
one of the big questions though is about regulation, right? Is
Hmm.
about, okay, now that this giant attack has happened, it's, one of the big differences I feel like in this attack and other attacks is, other attacks have taken a single hospital offline. There've been patient diversions, but this one has impacted millions of Americans just trying to get a prescription,
Yeah.
right? And so, there's there there's some thought that this will push the feds into regulation for the healthcare sector. What do you
Yes.
think?
Well, so some of the things that are already happening, remember they're fining organizations now, and there's some speculation that some of those fines are being used to actually fuel grant programs, which is just a weird cycle. But there was an article that came out with 4 big questions for basically the federal government about this, and the key question is United Health too big to protect? And that the subtext there is we created a single point of failure by letting United Health buy Optum Change and create an organization that handled something like 15 billion transactions a year. And so you knock out that one organization, all of a sudden the healthcare system is flattened. And so they're talking about, should healthcare companies be forced to up their cybersecurity? Well, how can you force them anymore? They're regulated, they're audited, they're fined if bad things happen. Every day we hear about gigantic organizations, that get
Yeah.
pummeled by these actors. So, how are you going to force anybody to do anything? Again, there's a
I
foreseeable
I
event.
I mean, I don't know. I disagree. And friend of the company, Mo from Armis, who joined our panel,
Hmm.
he just commented. Yeah, I can bring up his comment here. The true after effects won't we know for a while, and I'm betting there are going to be quite a bit of regulatory changes coming.
Hmm.
I agree with him. Like I actually think that if you
It's because
look
the
at the
government's got
bank,
a limited set of tools. I mean,
yeah, but if you look at
regular.
but if you but banking regulations have been much stronger
Hmm.
then the SEC has been a lot stronger than than HHS, and I think that we're going to see. I think that this is going to actually be a change, and I think what's going to happen is HHS is actually going to make the cybersecurity performance goals not voluntary. I think this
Hmm.
is going to push that. I think that's going to happen. I think a lot of people are going to be upset. There's going to be lawsuits over it. And I think it'll get to the Supreme Court, and we'll see, if the Supreme Court is up for it. They cut the regulatory power, or the regulatory power. Was it them who cut the EPA's regulatory power? But
Yes. No,
the,
not the
yeah,
Supreme Court. It
not
was
but
a couple of states, three
yeah,
states.
right. Cut the regulatory power to the EPA. So I think we're about to see what the cyber regulatory power of HHS is. I think that's what's coming here.
Yeah, well, maybe, but if remember, additional regulation is not very effective if you don't audit, right?
Yeah.
When everybody self-assesses, that's aspirational. And later when they find out that all those controls were not in place, then comes out the big financial stick.
Yeah.
And they
Yeah.
get
Yeah.
fined, and Federal Trade Commission comes in with a False Claims Act and the lawsuits and all of this stuff. So, I
Hey,
mean,
so
there's enough fear already. I don't think we need to pile on.
we can argue about this for an hour, but we don't have time. So let's talk about another big company, AT&T.
Yeah. Now, so 70 million records, okay, allegedly stolen from AT&T. And AT&T is saying, "Hey, didn't come from our
Not
systems,
us, not us.
not us."
Mhm.
But it's still 70 million records. So, I don't think we're really going to find out what happened here for a while. I don't think AT&T is going to admit,
Right.
that it was them. But again, it's like third parties, supply chain, and I don't know how somebody had 70 million AT&T records to lose. So, this one's developing, and I think after a while we're going to find out more about this, because right now it's a little opaque. But 70 million records get your attention.
Yeah, and earlier I mentioned EPA, speaking of another story,
Yep.
and this week there's been a lot of warnings to states about their water systems.
Yep.
Over the last couple of years, there have been a lot of warnings. This one feels a little different, Mike.
It does, because they went right to governors. And what they're trying to do, so remember they gave us right the cybersecurity tips for the water
Yep.
sector after
Hmm.
the EPA couldn't regulate, right? Because they got
Hmm.
shouted down by three states. So first they came up with the tips, and now they're going to come up with a water sector cyber task force and
I
work
can't.
with,
You know what?
the
I love
utilities.
I love a good task force.
Everybody loves a good task force.
Mhm.
You know, um, Depends on what the task is at hand. And, they're trying to get the utilities to voluntarily say, okay, here's what we'll do, and work with them so that they come up with not necessarily a regulatory framework, but something that everybody can agree to.
Yeah.
I don't know that this is going to work because there's such a broad range of water utilities, right? Some of them are teeny, 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 and some of them are gigantic, right? Like LA, Metropolitan Water District. That's gigantic.
Yeah.
So one size is not going to fit all here. So remains to be seen what's going to come out of this. But the, I think the take home message for me is they keep talking about this and talking about it and talking about it and talking about it. And in the background, there's all this, hey, China already has, and there was another article about, China is in our operational technologies, and
Sure.
at the time of their choosing, they can pull that trigger, and they're going water, 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 water. This is disturbing.
Yeah. It
So
really is.
I hope they
It
make some
really is.
progress here.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, and again, when we think about water utilities, we think about government. There's that new FBI report. Government entities' third largest target in
Hmm.
2013.
Yeah, I mean, these things come out all the time. I've heard manufacturing is number one. I heard construction was number one. I heard banking and finance is
It
number
depends
one.
which trade group puts out
It
the warnings.
does. It
Mhm.
does. But there's always kind of that top three, right? It's kind of government, health, manufacturing are the ones that
Yeah.
get hit the most. And so, I believe it if government is the third largest, because again, right, the criticality of the services there cannot stand downtime. And
Right.
so, as a target, that's going to be high probability of getting paid. And, what's disturbing too is, going back to the water thing. Remember, it was Iran that hit some water utilities that
Oh yeah.
had Israeli programmable logic controllers, and nobody
Yep.
changed the password. They used the defaults. Okay, well, that wasn't very sophisticated, but Iran has now been caught buying malware from Russian cybercrime forums, and specifically the ones called wipers. You know what wipers do, right?
Yeah, they those are the ones where it acts like ransomware, but it actually just wipes everything on there, but they charge you the ransom anyway, and then you get nothing back.
Yep, right. So that's kind of troubling, and uh, I hope we don't see that show up soon. But this really underscores the fact that nation states and this cyber criminal ecosystem are a lot more aligned. I mean, we always thought so, but now the evidence is just coming out that there is just open collusion
I
between
mean, I'm not, not surprised by that. And I think, one of the things to remember here is one of the reasons that Iran wants it is to attack Israel. Iran has already shown that it's not just attacking the state of Israel, but is attacking Israeli cyber companies and Israeli technology companies, which
them.
is how it got into water systems.
Yep.
So, I mean, it's alarming. Um, and not at all surprising that they would be trading malware with Russian gangs.
No, it's not. But the evidence now um, kind of puts everybody's suspicions to rest, and now it's a fact.
Right. And, I saw an article that said, Iran can now do some of this under the cover of we're trying to help the people of Gaza.
Hmm.
And so we're actually the good guys.
Yeah, we're just
Even if we attack an American water system.
yeah.
So, it's muddy. Or I guess, it's deserty.
Yeah, can't wait to get closer to the election.
Well, things will get better, Mike.
I'm sure.
Everything gets
I'm
better closer
sure
to the
they
election.
will.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. All right, what do you got for threats and vulns?
Weird new denial of service attack. So, as you know, the internet runs on a couple of protocols. One's the transmission control protocol, and one's called the Universal Datagram Protocol.
Mm,
And UDP turns out to be involved in a lot of infrastructure services like DNS, right? NTP, right? The time protocol,
mhm.
TFTP, right? A lot of protocols that aren't used a lot, right? Character generation, chargen,
Yep.
echo, right? And it turns out, and this is researchers have done this, but when researchers publish stuff like this, it's going to jump the fence right away. You can you can get two UDP protocols to start looping each other and just beating each other, and it forms something that cannot be stopped,
Mhm.
and so it just spirals. Machines will spiral out of control. So keep an eye on that. Like I said, it's research now, but it's probably going to show up. um, Browsers are being targeted more than ever with info
Mhm.
stealers, and there's one
Mhm.
called vkerms malware, right? So again, if you are storing your credentials in your browser and your browser is not patched, you can run over one of these things real easily. So
And I will remind folks, it is okay to be the person who gets on a Zoom meeting or Teams meeting or whatever you use,
mhm,
and you see and somebody shares their browser and it says finish update or whatever it says on the upper right. It's
point it
okay
out.
to be that person who says, go ahead and after this meeting, go ahead and hit that button. It's
Yeah,
okay to be that person. It's better than correcting somebody's grammar.
I'm going to waste an opportunity to do that now. Okay. HTML smuggling, okay, is a tactic that is now delivering malware via fake Google sites. So they
Uh-huh.
set up fake Google sites, they put them up at the top of the SEO, and when you hit the site, a payload is embedded in a JSON file, which is basically a text file. It has a bunch of data in it, and people are getting smacked by this. So be very careful when the top of the list has sites that look almost like what you are looking for, but not quite, because there's a lot of this going on. And what's the last thing I'll tell you? It's today is not really patch day. Today is more about threats, but IT help desks are being targeted. Right. This is how apparently they got into MGM Caesars, right, by going in through a help desk. Um, They are now implementing this at scale. So
I
if
mean,
you
it
are the help
worked. Why
desk
not?
and somebody's asking for a password reset, right, you're going to have some kind of shared secret. You're going to need to call them back on the number that you have for them, something like that, because this just makes it too easy. You're just letting them in the front door.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. Hey,
there's a lot more. I'll stop there.
I'll give folks a tip here. Something that I mean, maybe everybody knew this and I didn't know, but a lot of the, um, password managers,
Mhm.
have if you have an organizational password manager like One Password
Mhm.
or whatever you have, you can keep notes in there for people to take a look at that they could access on their phone even if they can't get into their computer. So if you had like a secret code word, you could put it in there and have
Oh,
people look at it. Yeah.
oh, that's a good trick.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
What was the
So
color of
anyway,
your first car?
red, Mike. It was red. I'll tell you a quick funny story about that, and then you can give us the kicker. So quick funny story. The color of my first car was red. And whenever I get asked, for that as a question, if I put in red, it says, sorry, not enough characters.
Oh no, really?
I'm always like, "Hmm, okay. Not that it's a good thing to put it in or anything like that. All right,
No.
Mike, at the end of all of these, we have a kicker, something to make people laugh. What do you got?
Well, I got something to watch out for because this is a tactic that I have actually seen myself. So in Chennai, right, city in India,
Hmm.
somebody got scammed, right? And this person got a call from the police station after filing a report, and the person on the phone was asking all the details of the scam and how much money had been lost. And turns out it's like a phase two of the scam. They were going to get this person to pay
Mhm.
to file this report and move this thing forward. And this person did not get fooled by this. I've seen this before in advanced fee scams. You'll see them come in and they'll say, um, we are the agency that is putting all of these scammers in jail.
Right.
Stop paying them.
And pay
Um,
us. It's a recovery scam.
it's
Yeah.
exactly a
It's the
recovery scam,
recovery
right?
scam. Yeah.
So very similar, but don't trust anything that the internet tells you.
Except,
Probably the best advice.
unless it comes from Mike Hamilton, unless it's his deep fake, and then don't trust it.
Unless
If it's his deep fake, then it's him faking the deep fake, and then you can trust it. All right, everybody.
unless you're trying to reset Jake's password and the question comes up, what was the color of your first car? You know it was red.
I know, but I can't use red because it's only 3 characters. All right,
Okay.
everybody. Have a good day.
All right. All right.
Bye.
Bye.